Hey folks, it's me, John Jack, here with another episode of Talking Indie Comics with John Jack. This will be our second episode. I'm here on behalf of comicwatch.com. Look us up at comic-watch.com, or you can look us up on Facebook or Twitter. We have a Patreon account, and you can feel free to donate if you like what we're doing. And you can look me up at John Batusi Jack on Twitter, or John Jack on Facebook, or look me up in my Facebook group for love comic books. Likewise, we have a mainstream comic book show called Comic Watchers, Comic Watchers. Not strictly not strictly big two, but we don't get as much time to talk indie books as I would like. So this is my separate show, just devoted to straight indie comics. And this week is really image heavy. Not a lot of other publishers put books out. I also did get the Elric the White Wolf from Titan and a couple other little things. There's an issue of Joe Golem, a cult detective, that came out this week. But the books that I decided to review were all image. One Skybound, one Top Cow, one Mainline Image, and one OGN. This week I'll be talking Crowded number 3. Sorry, I don't know why my camera's doing that. Murder Falcon number 1, Infinite Dark number 1, and My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies, which I've been waiting for months and genuinely cannot wait for, or could not wait for. I have it now. It's sitting right next to me. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm so excited that I have it now. So I'm going to start with a couple first issues, stuff that you guys might like and might want to jump into. So I'm going to start with Murder Falcon number 1, which is by Daniel Warren Johnson, who wrote, colored, and drew the book, and is the creator. I think he colored. So it's a story about an anthropomorphic falcon. This is a great synopsis that I wrote. It's about an anthropomorphic falcon who's powered by metal. He teams up with a depressed metalhead named Jake to shred their way to greatness in order to stop Magnum Chaos, the king of hatred and fear. It just sounds wonderful. It's a pretty super fun book. Basically, monsters are leaking into our reality, and the only being on Earth capable of stopping them is a 8-foot tall falcon with a robot arm who can only fight if Jake is playing metal music. So literally powered by metal. So it was a really fun first issue. I'm definitely going to be getting this series going forward. Anything that I review on this show is a book that I am personally buying right now, which I buy a lot of books, but I'm not going to tell you guys to get anything that I'm not getting myself. I'm not trying to suck up to anyone by reviewing books to try and get a job writing solicits or anything like that. I'm on the side of just telling you guys books that I love and I think you would like. So this book was really fun. I thought the art was pretty good. The fight scenes were a little reminiscent of Jeff Shaw's work on God Country in terms of perspective, and sometimes the backgrounds turn into some epic kind of scenes. And all in all, I thought it was a really, really fun book, and I can't wait for next issue, which is second Wednesday of next month, it said. So definitely pick this one up. That's Dustin Hoffman. God, I'm tired. My son was a little wind-up doll today and siding a house all day. I'm a carpenter. You don't care about that. All right. All right. So next book I'm going to review I'm going to talk about is Infinite Dark number 1, which is Image Comics Top Cow, which is a separate, what would you call it? A separate division of Image Comics. This one is written by Ryan Cady with art by Andrea Multy. Um, so basically, the premise of this book is entropy has overtaken the universe, which entropy is molecule a theory that, or not even, I don't even know if it's a theory. Um, Objects in motion will want to stop, and that could eventually. Let me see if I can make that stop doing that. Objects in motion want to stop. You know, you roll a ball, the ball will stop eventually, and um, by that same logic, the motion of molecules of atoms is not, because atoms vibrate at all times, you know. Um, so the motion, perpetual motion, is not a thing. So molecular motion, it should slow down eventually to the point that it stops completely. And in this book, it has spread from the edge of the universe, and there is only one habitable place left in the entire universe, and it's a space station called Orpheus. Um, and in this space station, we see basically the station's cop has run into the first violent crime since the station was created. And the entire living population of the human race is on this one space station at this point. That's everybody in the entire universe. It takes place in the far future where space colonization was rampant, and the only people who survived were people who made it to the space station in time. But the space station has its first violent crime since its creation 2 years before. If I lean back a little bit. And a man has been kidnapped and then murdered, and the man who kidnapped him says that he's been seeing something, or an alien or something. And the end of the issue was just kind of wasn't really a reveal. It was more of a non-reveal. But I thought it was pretty interesting, and I like sci-fi, and I'm a fan of space exploration, and big Aliens fan, big Predator fan. So kind of interested to see an entirely new story that is revolved around, I guess, sorry, I guess you would call it a thriller, a space thriller. Yeah, again, I recommend it. I thought the art was really, really good, and the opening story of the ships trying to make it to Orpheus in ahead of the entropy, trying to race the heat death of the universe to the only safe place in the universe was pretty interesting and really cool. And likewise, it was kind of interesting that the cop she comes out of, it's basically a required therapy session that is required to because everybody who lives outlived everybody else everywhere. So everybody's got survivor's guilt, you could call it. So it's hard to say whether they are coming up against some kind of alien entity, or whether this is some type of cabin fever or space madness, whatever you would call it. So I'm actually really digging I really dug the first issue, and I'm gonna keep reading it for sure. One sec. Okay, next on the list is Crowded Number 3 from Mainline Image, and this is written by Chris Sabella. I didn't write down the artist. That was stupid. Sorry. Chris Sabella is one of my favorite indie writers working right now. I don't know what my camera's problem is. Maybe if I scoot my phone back just a little bit. Sorry, minor technical difficulties. Actually gonna cut this out. Whatever. If you watch this part and you get this far into the video, I do apologize. I'm not sure what my viewership is like. If you get to this part, please let me know in the comments section and tell me, you know, the password, whatever the password is. Okay, I'm done. Alright, Crowded number 3 by Chris Sabella from Image. Chris Sabella has 2 books out this week, actually. He has Crowded number 3 and Shanghai Red number 4, both from Image. He's also writing House of Muck for IDW Black Crown, which I reviewed on last week's show. Chris Sabella is one of my favorite writers working right now for indie books. He's kicking ass. He's writing 3 books right now for 2 different publishers. I mean, great creator. He also did a Cold War for Aftershock Comics a few months ago, which was also excellent and just had a trade paperback come out. So well worth your time. Really fun story. Crowded is the story of a woman who, for lack of a better word, it's shortly in the future, and for lack of a better word, she's had a maybe if I turn it so the light's not on. Sorry, this is frustrating. Pumpkins. See the pumpkins? Pumpkins. It's October. But it's the future, and a lot of stuff has been outsourced or crowdsourced to apps and stuff like that. And this woman, Charlie, is kind of a terrible person. And at some point, she upset somebody, and they uploaded her onto Reaper, which is an app where you can donate money to hire a hitman. And it's basically like putting up a bounty for someone. But somehow her bounty, she pissed off so many people that her bounty skyrocketed to over, I think it's up to $1.2 million. So she's being hunted by, it started out at like $100,000, and it was like a bunch of yokels with shotguns and stuff like that in the first issue. At this point, we got like A-list talent flying in from other countries to try and kill her. And she has a likewise she hired someone on another app called Defender that allows her that the person protects her. So, and her protector is named Vita, and her Vita's so far has been a pretty kick-ass bodyguard. But she has terrible reviews. So they've been hunted, and they keep getting outed by Charlie being an idiot and logging onto social media. And at one point, she finds one of the people that donated to her bounty and punches him. Like, it's just funny. They keep getting flushed out by stuff, and I thought it was, it's a funny premise, and not my best show. Sorry. I genuinely apologize. But she, or just the series in general is really smart and pretty funny, and doesn't at all feel like anything's really telegraphed. So there's been some really interesting points and some good kind of little surprises. We still haven't figured out why she's got the hit out on her. So that's an interesting tidbit of information. I think Sabella says this is going for 6 issues, so we've got 3 more issues, and so far it's been pretty go. So I expect next issue might be a bit of a setup issue. But so far, the stuff I've read from Sabella, he is really good at pacing his arcs out, where every issue has some good moments and some kind of gotcha moments and stuff. But this is one of my favorite indie series right now. This one, Shanghai Red's super. I didn't want to give too much time to any one creator this week, so I didn't want to do 2 Sabella books. So I'll probably do Shanghai Red another time. It's a period piece set in the 1900s in Portland that involves a woman who is shanghaied, which is when someone sells you into slavery, essentially, in order to cash in your debt. It was a common practice in the 1900s in port towns, including Portland, which is a port town, hence Portland. And Red gets out of she kills all her slavers and sails back to Portland and is hunting down the people who sold her into slavery. Excellent series. Really, 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 really interesting series. Couldn't recommend it more. So last book I want to talk about is a book I've been waiting on for months and months, ever since Kill or Be Killed completed and it was revealed that this was what they were working on next. But this is a new book from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, who, if you aren't aware who they are, they've worked on numerous titles together, including Sleeper from Wildstorm, Incognito for Marvel Icon, which was Marvel's creator-owned imprint, and also Criminal, which Criminal is just the best. If you haven't read Criminal, go read Criminal. Stop, turn this video off right now. Go read Criminal. Every arc is just great. Sorry, my throat seems to get really dry right around the 20-minute mark of talking. Maybe I need to chew gum. I'm sure you guys would love that. So anyway, the camera's doing it again. There we go. I gotta move a little bit. So, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies is a new Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips OGN, original graphic novel, hardcover, set in a world of criminal, while not actually being a criminal book. The criminal books are all not necessarily interconnected, because they don't always, but they're all set in a shared universe, and sometimes you'll see like a cameo from someone you know from a previous arc or something like that. And so this involves a young woman in an upscale rehab facility who is always idolized, and she talks about at length throughout the book about her heroes over the years. David Bowie, Graham Parsons, almost every musician you can think of had a drug era, and that's when they often wrote their best music. Likewise, artists like Van Gogh. Van Gogh was addicted to, I think it was mescaline and absinthe, and it caused him to see colors differently, which made his paintings so vibrant and helped color the skies, because he was literally seeing them differently than we see them. Unless you're on absinthe, I guess. So, she talks about how she's idolized these junkies all this time and befriends a young man in the rehab facility. And try to make the camera focus. There we go. I don't know why it's doing that today. Usually it's really good. I think maybe I'm a little too close. But her and this young man escape from the rehab facility and go on kind of a Bonnie and Clyde spree across the West Coast, up and down the West Coast. Kind of just living that junkie lifestyle, you know, getting high, stealing stuff, robbing pharmacies and stuff like that, stealing cars. And it was fantastic. I won't reveal anything about the second half of the book, but I loved it. I'm a longtime Brubaker fan. From his Batman run to Gotham Central. I recently binged his entire Daredevil run. Again, all the criminal, killer be killed, Fatale, the Fade Out, Incognito. All great. All great. And I'm so happy that this exists. Getting sappy. I absolutely love Brubaker. I was so happy to hear that he had a new OGN coming out, and from the sound of things, we're also getting a continuation of the Fade Out and another installment of Criminal sometime next year. So you'll be hearing more about Phillips and Brubaker very soon. It was kind of a light week for indies this week. Image had a lot of books, but normally I try to vary things more for publishers, but there wasn't really much I felt like talking about outside of Image this week. Also came out this week was The Weatherman #4, which I haven't read it yet, but it's a good series, worth checking out. The Weatherman's pretty fun. It's a little graphic, just a heads up. It's pretty gory at points, and it might be a little too graphic. In the first issue, a dog does die, if that's a thing that bothers you. It definitely shocked me pretty heavily. All in all, it's an interesting story, and I'm following it closely. Well, what a week ending. I guess that's all I got this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to this point. Next week I'll drink some coffee before or something, maybe some tea. Maybe I'll have some tea. That way it'll help my throat stay moist. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna get off before I say anything else stupid. Hey, thanks for watching, genuinely. And again, that's Comic Watch, and we do have a Patreon account. You know. Again, thank you for watching.